Hello and welcome to everyone joining us today. My name is Melissa Kropf, and I am Associate Director of Admissions for the Yale School of Management's Master's in Asset Management program. If you have joined a session before, you might have seen me, but I think today's session is particularly exciting because you'll get to hear from the Master's in Asset Management class of 2025. And honestly, I feel like they could probably answer your questions way better than myself. I think it's really exciting to have their expertise here, just to give you an idea of what it is like to be in the Master's in Asset Management program. So thank you all to our current students for coming. Really excited to have you all and to learn more about your time here at SOM. So to kick off, I'm just going to have everyone introduce themselves, and then we'll move into the panel portion where I will ask a couple of pre-submitted questions that you all have submitted when signing up for this session. Once we have finished our student panel portion of the conversation, which will be recorded, so I'll send that all to you after the session is completed, we are going to move into breakout rooms. That'll take place at approximately the 12:30 mark. I will have all of you, have the opportunity to move into the breakout room of your choice, where there will be either 2 or 3 current students there to answer any of your other burning questions that you might have about being in the Master's in Asset Management program. So let's kick it off with introductions. First on my screen, Luca, I'm going to have you go first.
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Luca Gurgenidze. I'm from Naples, Florida. And coming into SOM, I finished my undergrad in chemistry from the University of Florida, where I also studied economics and business admin. Previous work experience, I just have 2 internships, one in IB, one in BC, and I did a year in research at my university studying chemistry. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Amazing. All right, Raney, you're next up on my screen.
Hi guys, I'm Raney Newman. I'm from Gainesville, Florida. I went to Union College for my undergrad and I studied econ and data analytics. My past work experiences were internship-wise. I worked a little bit at Ryder doing some data analytics work with them, and then I worked a full year in economic consulting at McClaven Associates, and then I came here. So yeah.
Amazing. Aishwarya?
Hello, my name is Aishwarya. I am from Mumbai, India. I go by she, her pronouns, and I did my undergraduation in Mumbai in HR College of Commerce and Economics, and majored in finance and accountancy. And before coming to Yale, I worked in transaction services at KPMG.
Awesome. And as you'll see from Aishwarya's title, she's a member of our joint degree program.
Yes, I am a MBA and asset management joint degree student at Yale. So yes,
amazing. So nice to have you, Aishwarya. May, you're next.
Hi everyone, my name is May, and before SOM, I just recently graduated from Emory Graduate Business School, did a double major in finance and quantitative economics, and also minor in film and media management. And professionally speaking, I did several internships in the primary market, including 2 in private equities, help with deal sourcing and screening, and I also have 2 investment banking internships. I did an intern at Houlihan Lokey's New York office doing M&A. And a fun fact about me is I'm a professional chef. I love to cook Chinese food, and feel free to follow my Instagram account. It's called It's May's Kitchen.
Amazing. Thank you, May, so much for that fun fact in particular. Everyone else, feel free to add that as well, or save that for your breakout room, whichever you prefer. Cal, I have you next.
Hi guys, I'm Cal. I'm from New Jersey. I did my undergrad at Princeton. I studied economics. I also worked in investment banking for about a year in New York at a boutique, and then I did another year at a commercial real estate firm. I'll save my fact for the breakout.
Amazing. Great choice. Vedant.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to say my facts for the breakout as well. But other than that, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm from Mumbai, India. I did my undergrad at University of Toronto in finance and economics, actuarial science, and statistics. Before joining the program, I did a part-time internship for a search fund, and then I worked full-time as an actuarial analyst in Toronto for an insurance company for a little less than 2 years.
Amazing. And then Tunga, last but not least.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tonga, and I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm originally from Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar city, and I have over 6 years of experience. My undergrad was in accounting, so I was working in Mongolia. Then I worked for several years in Prague, Czech Republic, and I was working in PwC as an auditor, and then I joined SAP as well later, and I was responsible for financial reporting of its subsidiaries.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for those introductions. And now we're going to get into some of our panel questions. So for this first question, I'd love to have everyone respond because I'm sure that, for everyone who's joining the call today, this is kind of the first question that's top of mind. So taking you back maybe to a year ago from today, why did you ultimately choose to apply to the Master's in Asset Management program? And then why did you choose Yale SOM? I'm going to work this a little clockwise. So I'm going to go with Cal first.
Great. Yeah, so I really wanted to make a pivot from banking. I definitely wanted to pursue a quantitative finance track. What drew me into SOM specifically was the fact that it was 1 year. Coming from a work experience, I really enjoy making money, and I didn't want to sacrifice that for 2 years. So it's really great that Yale has this option for a 1 year program. Also, the curriculum, there's a lot of other similar quant finance programs, but what really set Yale apart was like the integration of the faculty and actual practical experience. There's a ton of professors that work at AQR, like Moskowitz, which I'm sure you know about, but there's also a lot of professors that teach electives who are also principals at AQR, Frazzini and some others. So it's like you get a really good sense of the actual practical implications of what you're learning about, which was really unique.
May.
Yeah, great. And I applied to Yale SOM is actually quite similar. I also want to shifting my gears a little bit to the buy side, and here it's the only program in the world that offer a specified focus at asset management, and I also blend academic stuff with some practical application, and that's why I apply. But why I choose Yale is quite different. Is because before actually click on the enrollment button, I actually reach out to a lot of alumni and students who were doing this program last year. And what really blew me off is the culture, because before I even started, those alumni were incredibly responsive to my coffee chat requests and taking time to share their experience and offer career advice. So the spirit of helping others is quite the culture of Yale SOM, and everyone I reach out is super passionate about using finance to drive positive impact, and I feel it's the Yale's business and society mindset in action, and that's why I chose this program.
Oh, wow. You guys are incredible already selling the program. Incredible to tell your experience and, give so much advice. That's incredible. Luca, I have you up next. Why did you choose Yale SOM?
Sure. So for me, it breaks down into two reasons. I was applying to general master's programs in finance, seeking to pivot because I did my undergrad in STEM in chemistry, and I knew I did not want to stay in that field. So really for me, it was a pivot from that into finance. And Yale specifically, I mean, I could go on and on about why I applied to Yale. It's a great brand name. The program is fantastic. And as far as I know, one of its kind. I knew asset management and specifically work on the buy side was something I wanted to pursue. And I figured this would be the best way to do that. And so far, it certainly does open up doors, especially if you don't come from a marquee undergrad. And I think it's, something worth considering for sure.
Right, that's amazing. Raney, you're up next.
Yeah, so honestly, kind Similar reasons to Luca. You can't really talk about the program without talking about Yale. So it being Yale was a big factor. But for me, it really was, I came from like not a finance related background. I wasn't working in finance, and I really wanted to make sort of a major pivot. But I'm also someone who didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. What I did know is I really wanted to work in the intersection between data science and finance. And this asset management program, it gives that perfect blend where you can, you take very technical classes, but you can also take classes in less technical things like private equity and things like that. So if you're someone who doesn't know exactly what you want to do, but know you want to be working in basically a general front office role, this is sort of the perfect program and why I decided to come here.
So much for answering. Aishwarya, I have you up next.
Yes. So I was an MBA student. I originally applied as an MBA student to SOM. I was very much intrigued by its multi-stakeholder perspective curriculum while making business decisions, considering both business and society. I love that. And also, while I was making my decision to come to Yale, my interviewer, who was a second-year SOM student then, was very warm and kind to connect me with a lot of their MBA students and alumni. And I really loved talking to them. I found the community very supportive and cooperative, and I chose to come in here. And in my first year of SOM, I learned a lot about the asset management program from the the second year MBA candidates on their experience about doing both MBA and asset management. And I really loved the core curriculum of the asset management. It's quant heavy rigor, and that prepares well for the roles and buy side, and chose to pursue asset management alongside my MBA.
Amazing. Vedant, I have you next up on my screen.
All right. So last year, when I was applying to programs, I was a little undecided whether I want to pursue the quantitative track or the fundamental track. And then, when I was looking at programs, I think this program was probably the only one, if not, it's there are very few programs which offer you the opportunity to do both at the same time. And that was my main deciding factor in joining this program.
Amazing. And then Tunga.
Hi guys. So as I mentioned, I had 7 years of experience before I joined this program. And then I was in accounting and auditing background, so I always knew that there was a missing part of like knowledge that I haven't explored yet, and during the audit there was like many cases where the financial knowledge is required. So that was one of the main thing that I understood during my career. And then I was exploring the programs that can like advance my knowledge in finance, and I knew that I would love to like deepen my quantitative skills. That is why I really liked Yale SOM's this Master's in Asset Management program, because it has like very technical curriculum, and also like as people mentioned, there are also other classes that you can take, well, where it's a more fundamental analysis classes. So it was like the perfect match for me too, like because I already identified like what is missing. So it was like filling that gap for me.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for answering that first question. And because so many of you indicated that community was a big part of your reason to come here to Yale SOM, that is our next question that I'm going to ask to a subset of you all today. And I'll start with May, because this was a big part of your response. So the next question that we got a lot from attendees of this session: tell us a little bit about the Yale SOM culture and how you've built your community here. And this is a bit of a twofer because we also got a lot of questions about student clubs. So are you a part of any student clubs here on campus?
Yes, happy to share. I would say the culture has definitely exceeded my expectations. It's remarkably collaborative. We are constantly forming student groups and sharing a lot of resources. It's either for co-investing for problem set or for recruiting. And we are constantly helping each other to succeed and land a job. And I really love how our cohort feels like a family, despite our diverse backgrounds. And speaking of our backgrounds, we got classmates of everywhere in the world, Mongolia here and India, Nigeria, Greece, France, Britain. So I really love how everyone brings their unique background perspective to our discussions. And speaking about club involvement, I really love Yale's club because back to Emory, there's actually a quite competitive and selective club recruitment process, but here the club is really welcoming. You are free to join a lot of club. And for example, I did join the finance club and investment management club, and it's hosting sessions almost every week, and they have been a great resource for me to do networking and to chat with second year MBAs as well. They are very ready to share their interview tips and past experience and connect with our program people. And at the same time, they even host some technical sessions to train you to their field. So I feel it's a welcome and collaborative culture at club as well.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for that response. And then Cal, same question to you.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how quickly our cohort really became friends. It's a very collaborative culture. Like May said, not a lot of competitiveness that I sort of felt in my undergrad. Everyone's trying to, work toward the same goal. And in terms of clubs, I'm involved in the investment management club, which is one of the biggest ones here at SOM. They have a lot of competitions that you could partake in, where you could go to Chicago. Our cohort actually just won the credit and equity competition there and at Booth. Also, if you have an idea for your own club, they're pretty flexible with that as well. I'm in the process of starting a poker group. We had our first poker night last week. It went pretty well. So yeah.
I remember that being a big part of your application, and quite a few other masters in asset management students who are interested in poker. So I'm not surprised that you started that club, Cal. All right, Luca, same question to you. Tell me about your community here.
Sure. So May and Cal, I think, touched a lot on the club, so I'll speak more to community. For me, it breaks down kind of into the cohort and then the school at large. So cohort-wise, I think what was really surprising is that there's essentially no competition between us, despite us all working towards similar goals. I think everyone's really, really helpful, really friendly. If you have a problem or something you want to work through, you can go to any of your classmates for advice, and they're usually more than happy to give it, which I think is fantastic. Especially my undergrad was not like that. I think we were all kind of competing for the same roles or the highest grades, whatever it may have been. And here that's not the case. And then school wide, it's really the same deal. Everyone I've spoken to is fantastic. Everyone's great here. I think even across the programs, there's a great sense of community and belonging, and everyone does their best to make you feel welcome, whether that be in clubs or at school events, or even just in classes. It's a great environment to be in.
Amazing. Well, thank you to you three for answering that question. And thank you to Luca for perfectly setting me up to go into our next one. Speaking of classes, I'm going to ask a few of you to tell us what your favorite class in the program has been so far. So let's start with Raney on that question.
I'll first mention quantitative investing. I think a lot of us would mention that one. It's kind of the big class that dominates your first semester here, but it's with Toby Moskowitz, the program director and one of the founders of the program. And it's just for me, it's so interesting because we'll be in class and we'll talk about sort of an investing strategy. And I'm thinking about how I can implement it in my own personal portfolio and things like that. But my other favorite class was it's an elective private equity leverage buyouts with Josh Cascade. And what's so cool about that class and illustrates a larger point about SOM is that he's basically he's not a professor, he's an industry professional. So he actually was one of the first hires of Blackstone. And so he has tons of experience in private equity. So just listening to him sort of talk about his experiences and just give investing advice was like super interesting and would definitely highly recommend the class.
Amazing. I'm glad we touched on both required and elective courses in that response. That's great. Vedant, I have you next up.
All right. So a little similar to Raney, but not exactly the same. My favorite class so far has been definitely quantitative investing. That's like my number one. And the reason is threefold. Some background, I do want to be a quant, so it's super relevant to me. Whatever I learn in the class, I actually get asked in the interviews. So that's like a direct application. Other than that, similar to Raney, it has helped shape some of my own investments. With terms of like how I go about approaching where I should be putting my money in. And other than that, I really like the fact that the class helps you build a mindset which sort of teaches you how to go about tackling new problems. So it's not only about solving like, previously solved problems or replicating them. It's about, building your own new mindset. So I really love that.
Aishwarya, as a joint degree student, feel free to reach across your first year or the Master's in Asset Management year. What's been your favorite class so far?
Sure, I love both the MBA and asset management core curriculums. They're both just very fantastic. Just love them. And apart from the core curriculum, we have some fantastic electives both for MBA and asset management. Raney also touched upon one of my favorite private equity elective courses. Apart from that, we also have one other private equity course also by another professor who was also a Yale alum, Professor Rob Davis. And he also has his own private equity firm. And so had got a fantastic experience to learn about the practical side of investing things. He had a fantastic lineup of private equity investors and got everybody attending the class gets a good glimpse of the private equity industry. But since it's already touched upon, I'll talk about another fantastic class, which is called Entrepreneurship in Art Market. It is kind of like away from the quant heavy stuff that we have in core. It's a very enriching class in terms of the art market. The professor is actually influential figure in art market, is an entrepreneur and author and has a lot of connections there. We had a fantastic lineup of speakers, including the world's largest collector, world's largest auctioneer. We had the world's highest paid artist come to the class. So every week, fantastic lineup of speakers. And it was also a good learning in terms of how the financial stuff in art market works. I am also an artist. But apart from, of course, my finance background, but I never knew how actually the art market in terms of finance works. It's very different from the artistic side of it. And I got to learn about actual market side of it. And that was very enriching to me.
That's amazing. And like I said, I'm so glad we touched on core courses, elective courses. Thank you to you three for answering that question. And now moving to another one. Has there been anything about your Yale SOM experience or the Master's in Asset Management program that has surprised you so far? Tunga, I'm going to have you start with that one first.
Okay, so one of the things that surprised me the most is that Yale, there's like a very good flexibility in choosing your own classes. So for example, I'm right now taking a class in Yale Law School, and you can build your own, like we have like core courses which are very, very technical. But aside from that, you can also like choose whatever electives you want across from all Yale schools. So that was one of the things that surprised me the most. And right now I'm taking like infrastructure finance in emerging markets class because I'm deeply interested in like infrastructure projects, financing, especially in emerging markets, because it's related to my personal story where I come from Mongolia. So it's like one of the hot topics in Mongolia. That is why I was really, really interested in that class. And we have guest speakers who worked, like we have guest speakers who are worked in infrastructure projects and all, like in Africa, in Middle East, in Asia, and it has been very, very interesting. Like our classmates are from different schools and we interact to each other, so this was like the flexibility that Yale allows us to build our own whatever course that we want was one of the most surprising. Like I know some of my classmates also take some, for example, classes in environmental school and Yale College. Like there's a lot of options that you can explore as well.
Thank you for that. And then Aishwarya, as someone who's been here the longest, any surprises that you've had so far?
So I wouldn't say it was a surprise. Like I came to Yale, one major decision was influenced by the community here. I just love the community, and therefore I came in here. But I'd also like to mention one of the experiences that I had last year when I had gone for a Proud Equity case competition. We won the case competition, but what was more important to me was that the judges also mentioned not once but twice on how supportive our team was of each other, and that was more important to me, and I would kind of like cherish it all my life that I was part of such a great community.
Oh, that's incredible. Thank you so much to both of you for answering that question. And just to, we have one more question. I'm going to make this a quick one. Love to have everyone's, top tip on what advice you would have for someone applying to the Master's in Asset Management program. And I'm going to try to work this backwards from what I did before. So I'm going to start with Vedant.
Okay. The only advice I would say is make sure you brush up on your quantitative skills and your coding skills, because the program gets really intense really fast. That's all.
Great top tip. Love that. Aishwarya, what's your advice?
I'd say Yale welcomes a lot of diversity in terms of its students, and so be genuine and transparent in your application about what's your purpose coming in here and about your background. All diversity is welcome.
Amazing. Raney, top tip?
Yeah, definitely just be focused really on networking while you're here. Like you're definitely going to have a lot of schoolwork, but keeping central and focus, you're here to try to find a job and make connections and things like that. So just keep everything in perspective and it'll all be okay. You're not going to fail. That's my advice.
That's a great note. And everyone joining, you're already doing a great job by getting a chance to meet with these students here. So network is starting now even. Luca, what about you?
Yeah, so I'll just speak to the admissions process because I know that's something I was, really incompetent throughout. So I think it doesn't take the best grades. It doesn't take the most prestigious work experience. I think if you just really be yourself, and I know that's cliched, but I mean that, I think you'll have a good shot at the program because we all bring something unique to the cohort. And I do think that's, something you need to remember when you apply.
That's great advice. May.
I would say reach out to more students, alumni, because the Yale community is incredibly welcoming and happy to share. And it's also the best way to understand if the program aligns with your goals. And I also want to stress that make sure you're comfortable with quant work and coding stuff, because it's really a significant component of this program.
All right. And then last but not least, again, Tunga, round us out. What advice do you have for everyone here?
For me, I would say be confident in yourself, and because that's my personal experience. Because when I was trying to apply, I almost maybe I will not get in, or I was eliminating myself before even someone eliminated me. So so this is a thing that I try to think all the time, even now. So I think be confident in yourself, and you'll have a unique story, so show that, and I think you'll have a pretty good chance.